Hey there, good morning. It's 8:31 a.m. It is Monday morning, July 14th, and I am about to wrap up my video for my website. Now, I'm trying to get a little bit more motivation right now because like I said, I don't know. I would say that some of the thoughts that I have regarding my situation, they're so like, I don't know. I'm burnout. I'm burnout. I'm burnt out on the subject. I'm burnt out on the weirdness of it, the weirdness of the cloning issue, and then me coming to realize that, oh my gosh, I've been in a very negative environment for a very long time, persecuted for things that to me are kind of comical when I really think about it. The reason why is because it's like 2025 and I'm sitting here giving people instructions on how to groom. It's just too weird for me, okay? And people think that I'm weird, right? Because, and I think a lot of that is a lot of hype. I mean, yes, I do have a very unique origin. I truly understand, okay? But like I said, there's some things like and they've done social experiments about this, like, giving a person a bad reputation or saying certain things about another individual, right? And then having people putting people in an environment after a particular rumor has been said about them. And generally what happens is that people will start making up even more stuff that didn't even happen, right? Because you know what it is? It is that they are pre-programmed to have something against you. Okay. And so I know throughout this time that I've been here in this community, and I pretty much kept to myself and everything. But I also know that a lot of things got blown up on social media throughout the years, even when I left Bakersfield. And we know why. It's because this has been a very long going issue relating to my targeting through religious organizations. Okay. So this is one of the reasons why I was targeted as a child, and it led into my adult bullying. Now, what I want to go into my intuitive messages that I got this morning, okay? I got the intuitive message that people are now understanding my uniqueness at work, okay? Like, I honestly do feel as though people kind of overblew my what do you call it? My desk ornaments. And I'll tell you why. Because like I said, I am not the only person who has decorated or added a little bit of color or something positive to their workspace, okay? And I can tell, and I'm sure if you think back in history, I'm sure many of you have seen bobbleheads, or I remember I had coworkers who had kept their paper clips in pretty little dishes, like this one girl, she had a little blue bowl with flowers on it. Okay, and I remember looking at it, and I complimented her on her paperclip holder, right? And then she told me, and she was very nice. She was a Mexican girl, right? And I would have to say that I've always admired their graciousness, And I remember like a few days later, she came in with a gift for me, and it was the exact same little paperclip holder. So some women, okay, have it in them, not just women, some men too, they have it in them to create opulence, in their environment, okay? And a lot of it comes from a feeling of contentment, happiness, and wanting to generate more of that sort of positive feeling in that space. Okay, just like when you get when I got my first apartment, when I was pregnant, and I was moved into my first apartment. It was actually a duplex. Okay, and I didn't have a whole lot, but it's like you make it as nice as you can. You want to spruce it up. You want to make it as you want your little home. You want your home. You want your little space, right? That's a way of showing, number one, your contentment, your joy. Okay, so I never realized that people would misread it, because the reason why they misread it is like what I was talking about, the experiment. When people have negative views of you, and if they implant these sort of ideas in people, right, suddenly you're doing things 10 times worse than the rumor actually was. Okay, so like they'll make a big deal out of your office ornaments. Okay, even, and I will say that maybe it's because I'm somebody who is identified with the occult. Okay, and I've never brought in like a pentagram. I've never brought in an ankh. I've never brought in any of those sort of things. Okay, I've never brought in anything that would be like outright, this is a major occult symbol. I've never done anything like that. Now, I did bring in the, what do you call it, the little beckoning cat, right? The reason why at my last job, the reason why is because, okay, I am somebody who's like 50 something years old, okay? And I'm hoping that the company is going to make money, right? It's my way of saying, like, man, this, I hope the money, this corporation makes some money because, like, I'm getting older and I cannot continue being on this hamster wheel. I hope that we make money, okay? Because otherwise, I mean, I feel like I don't have a whole lot of options. Like I'm always in, a situation where I have no ability to provide for myself. Like, being trafficked from one company after another, especially when it's a company that's struggling and you're as old as I am and you've been trying to work towards your retirement for the last 12 something years. And you know what I mean? So in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, well, you know what? My space is going to be about focusing on generating income, even though I don't have any jurisdiction over that function. Like I only work to do accounting, the office type duties, okay? But it's my intention, it's my will, okay? Why? Because I'm old, okay, and I'm hoping things will get better. So yeah, I'm doing prosperity spells or prosperity thoughts, positive type, energy into this space, hoping, just hoping, that this company will pick up, okay. But yeah, I mean, and I would say that my beliefs are old school, but this is what I'm trying to get people to understand. Okay, the religion is derived from the occult. It is derived from the occult. You'll notice if you go to, like, for example, certain churches, you'll see all this symbolism, right? You're like, where does this symbolism come from? It comes from the occult. Okay, so anyway, my issue is that that was just to me sending out positive attention. Okay, I've never been like somebody who sat here and made worshiping issues or anything, but the idea of what do you call it, decorating your office space has been in it's been around forever, right? It's been around forever. Okay, so I just got a message from PG&E. Okay, so I know that just about a month ago or something, I signed up for them to eliminate my bill. Okay, so I know I just recently got assistance from EDD. So I know that I have it in my mind to schedule a payment with these people for what I believe they were supposed to have wiped my debt. So I need to follow up with PG&E on all of that. But see, yeah, I understand that. I have not received any bills from them yet. So I'm just kind of waiting for, I don't know, because you never know. When you're dealing with harassment, community harassment, and you've had dealt with people who were trying to harass you and cause you problems, you never know what's going on. Okay, because you don't know who's being honest or what is supposed to be. So I don't know, you know what I mean. But all I know is I already had it in my mind to pay PG&E, so I'm gonna, my next paycheck, I was going to pay PG&E. I wasn't going to just forget about them. And sometimes I feel as though people get into my personal business because it's their way, it's their passive aggressive way of trying to get something at me. You know what I mean? Like because they were upset that number one, I got dragged into an issue that I didn't ask to be a part of, should not have been a part of, should have never even had anything to do with it, right? And then because they were hoping that something disastrous going to happen to me after I was able to get myself out of the situation, they still have a little bit of spite. Even like I said, because it's what do you call it? It's sort of this sort of energy of this letdown because for a very long time people have been used to making me the target of their hatred, their problems, and everything else. Okay, and so I'm not saying that PG&E is doing this on to deliver it, and I don't even know what the call is about really. I do understand that I'm past due, and I do know that I had my past due balance eliminated, from this particular program. And I have not received a bill since. So I know through my cycle of my payments, I'm supposed to be getting paid this upcoming week. So I was thinking that that was going to take care of my bill. So, like I said, I'm just letting the president understand that I have dealt with all kinds of, odd, bizarre people coming out of the blue in their little slight ways. Okay. So I'm not saying that this is what PG&E is doing. Okay. But I'm just saying is this is kind of stuff that you deal with when you are a targeted individual. And this was because of the church, okay? The church, okay? I had never done anything to hurt anybody. And so I will follow up with what's going on with PG&E because I really don't know. Anyway, I am somebody who wants to go to work and just make my money, and it's a means to an end to me. Okay, I don't really care if people look at me as this, that, or whatever, except for I am not going to let other people disrespect me. I'm not going to let that happen. Okay, like I know I've dealt with Rex Laverne and his undermining me or trying to belittle my work or whatever, and putting me in these sort of situations. Okay, like I said, I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask to be put in this situation. So it's like, if people have their, misguided anger, they need to understand that this is what they need to figure somewhere else how to deal with it. Okay, I'm not responsible for anyone's problems. Okay, I do. So yeah. Also, I got the intuitive message that I have every right to be proud of who CB Braganza was. Okay, I am proud of who CB Braganza was. I'm very proud of who he was, what he stood for, and how he was able to use his ability to be creative in his mind to find ways to continue to live that long. Okay. I don't believe that he had a good quality of life. I think that he dealt and struggled with the same sort of stuff I'm dealing with. Okay. Unnecessary drama. Okay. The people who were behind my creation, i.e., Nazi groups, as well as the church for their record keeping and stuff like that, are the ones who were initiating the program, and then they want to turn around and sit here and create problems with me. The message I'm getting right now is people are talking about the human trafficking, baby meals, and stuff like that. I find it shocking too. You know what I mean? But this is what the church has been doing. They have been creating a lot of problems for people and then turning around, blaming them for these problems. It is very, very shocking. Okay. And like I said, I want to forget about religion. Who's to say? I mean, I don't know what PG&E is. Maybe PG&E is on board. Like maybe everything is fine with PG&E. There should be. I should not have any issues with them. Okay. But who's to say? You know what I mean? I mean, the reason why I say that is because when you're dealing with targeting and you're dealing with a religious issue, okay, this means that religion could twist people's arms, companies, force people to act and initiate hate campaigns against people, whether they want to or not, and use their leverage or whatever to bully them. And I understand this is what the churches have been doing. This is one of the reasons why I talked about this with Donald Trump. Okay. The only thing that with PG, I was going to say, the only thing that CB Berganza was responsible for was the fact that, he was somebody who was trying to survive. That's it. Okay. And obviously, I will tell you, if you are targeted, it's not natural to be targeted, number one. Okay. You're not, it's not natural for people to be in your space, to bully you for your natural behaviors, to all this sort of stuff. So it's very, well, it is in a way. It is in a way natural. Bullying is natural. Okay. But this is what makes a person civilized and one person not. Okay, I'm obviously a civilized person. I'm aware that, everybody has to live here. I'm aware that everybody is different. I'm aware that everybody has their own unique way of looking at things based on their upbringing, based on the circumstances of how they were living, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So, and if it says I'm somebody who minds their own business, I found this whole situation very shocking. I was very disturbed by the entire thing. Okay. So anyway, a lot of white people do understand that I am the savior. A lot of people, white people, believe that I'm the savior. Okay, I got that intuitive message, and a lot of white people were basically responsible for attacking my beauty. Meaning, like, and I said I don't consider myself beautiful. Okay, like I said, I understand there's like beautiful women all over the world. Okay, and I don't really consider myself to be like a fashion model. Okay. But what a lot of white people don't understand is, like, a lot of the white women who were bullying me were talking about my clothes and my makeup. And then I did talk about, the whole Nazi origin of, how when they wanted to control the population, they would often put this sort of pressure on women. Before all of this went on in Nazi Germany, yes, women did enjoy things like, fashion, that kind of stuff. Okay. It's just a matter of, certain things that go on in society that put a lot of pressure on women, and women end up feeling the brunt of it. Okay. Like I said, I'm not white, nor am I a part of those religions, but I do know that my background, is of the Egyptian way. And this makes a lot of sense. Okay. I will tell you, I've always been attracted to things like color, style, makeup. Yeah. I mean, I remember when I was younger, my mother told me, when you get to a certain age, you can start wearing makeup. And when I was 13 years old, that first thing I got from my mom was money to go get some lipstick. And I was like absolutely thrilled. You know what I mean? And so so some women will look at you and assume that you're doing this because you're trying to get male attention. No, I have been all my life been somebody who has loved makeup all my life. Okay, so that means there's times like where I'm at home, right? Like I don't always feel motivated to do Like, for example, this particular commercial. Why? I don't really feel motivated to do anything that relates to business, interaction with people, trying to make money or anything. The reason why is because I've been traumatized by hate groups. Okay, so it's like I automatically feel like, oh my gosh, okay, so I know it's something I have to do, but it's something I don't enjoy doing, and that's unfortunate. Okay, but there's times where I'm sitting here in my house, like, okay, well, I need to get started doing this, and to me, it's like, okay, I don't feel inspired to start working on something what I consider to be relating to my career, okay, or anything that reflects my name, my brand, my personality, or whatever, unless, of course, I'm dressed up. And so I might be like, okay, you know what? I need to at least change my outfit. So, there's days where I will not stay in my pajamas because I feel like changing my clothes is going to help me get into the mood. I cannot be motivated any other way. Let me shut the window. I cannot be motivated any other way. So, and that's me. I never really thought that people were, going to sit here and like give me any slack over it. You know what I mean? Everybody has their things that they have to stick in that's going to keep them anchored here. So the point in life is, I understand the goal of the church was to help kill me. It was a part of their program. They wanted me dead. Okay, this is the reason why they were controlling my employment and then controlling me on social media, blocking me out, limiting my, isolating me, creating all. They were hoping that I would take myself out. Okay, that was illegal, and this is one of the reasons why I was talking about this issue for the last, since 2015, since I made my channel. I'm ashamed of this community and their behavior. Okay, but yes, I would say that, beauty is important in all forms. Okay, like I know, for example, I worked for a lady who I believe she was Mormon. Her name was Rhonda Van Tassel, right? Rhonda Van Tassel owns Eurotan, which is I'm obviously not into tanning, nor do I need that, right? But a lot of white women, they don't like the way their skin looks, so they will go to places like Eurotan because they feel as though they look a little bit better with a little bit more, a little bronze tinge to them, right? Well, that's a form of cosmetics in a way. Okay, it's a way of enhancing. Okay, if you feel as though you look better with darker skin, then that's a way of enhancing yourself, and that is a form of beautification. Okay, so yes, it is. Everybody has their forms of beautification, and that's just one of your forms, and I'm talking about mine. So, when it comes to black women and our hair, I've given up on my hair a very long time ago. I don't mess with it as much as, a lot of people should. Okay, I just kind of mess with it to a certain extent, and that's it. Okay, and sometimes, I don't see anything wrong with wearing wigs and extensions and stuff like that. And the reason why is because, my hair breaks off like crazy. I have a lot of problems with my hair. And some people say, okay, well, then why don't you just try to find styles that are more curly so that you don't have to do that? I look in the mirror and I do not like it. I don't like my hair, my natural hair. Okay, I do not like it. There's a lot of women who don't like their natural hair. Like some women might be brown, brunette, and so they decide to be more blonde. You know what I mean? I don't like messing with my hair either. I'll tell you, my hair is very thick, especially in the back. It gets really knotted up. I will do whatever I can to avoid having to work with it. That's my choice. And if I find other convenient ways of doing it and it also enhances how I feel about myself when I look in the mirror, then I guess I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it's really no one's business. Like, I don't have a problem telling people, okay, like there's been times at work where people are like, oh, I like your hair. And I'm like, okay, number one, I feel as though when white people are over fixated on my hair, I look at it as racist. I don't find it we to call it a compliment or anything. It's just, to me, it's like I feel as though it's intrusive and you don't need to say anything about it at all. I've never been like, oh, thank you, or thinking that it's a compliment. I actually find it intrusive and I think it's rude. Especially since I've been, harassed over it since Murray Family Farms place. You know what I mean? I will tell you, to me, it's just like, stay out of my business. Okay. It's like, I don't sit here and pick at white women about their blonde hair, even though I know good and well their hair is actually dark. I don't touch that. So it's the same principle. It's just like, know your place, like know your boundaries and that kind of stuff. I will say throughout the years, I've tried different styles. Like I know when I grew up, I always wanted to wear braids. I like braids. I like those like really thin braids. I think they look awesome, and they allow me to swim. Like, if I go swimming just to go swimming, then I have a nightmare to deal with because the bleach also dries out my hair. It tangles my hair, and then I have all this stuff to comb through, pick apart, try to, get it straight and make it look okay or whatever. It's a nightmare. So braids were a great option for me. They gave me a lot of flexibility, but I understood when I walked in the office, it was always a problem. It was always a problem. So, I kind of thought, okay, fine. So I would say that my hair looks, I would say my hair looks like it's a black style, but it also looks somewhat in the middle of a European style, meaning like it kind of looks like, it's workable, meaning like it's okay for an office. It's okay to wear around other people. Okay. The message I'm getting right now is that I exposed how the industry, referring to the Christians, exploits celebrities regarding their sexy clothing. Okay, this is something I've been talking about for a very long time. They will sit there and persecute people for certain things, right? But yet they themselves do it. Okay, and I had talked about how I'm starting to look at certain things that I grew up with. Like for example, some of the people that I grew up listening to, that I thought were a part of like, the counterculture period. I find it very strange that they would attack me. I find it very strange that people who were part of the counterculture period would attack me. Why? Because these are the sort of music that these people sang about oftentimes, talking about freedom, love and all this kind of stuff, right? And no, I'm not saying that I'm one of those people. I'm just saying is I personally feel as though what the industry does is they copy people who are on the outskirts of their little realm, right? And they'll copy it, they'll merchandise it, right? But then they'll turn around and then persecute people for it. Because I'll tell you, some of the people that I grew up listening to, I'm not going to mention these celebrities' names, right? But I know good and well that they were on that list of trying to attack me and trying to attack my character. And were they doing it? Yes, they were. Okay, so and a lot of it has to do with the ignorance of the celebrities. I will tell you that within this industry, it seems as though a lot of celebrities are kept in the dark, like blind on purpose. Okay, why? Because when you're a victim of human trafficking, the first thing they want to do is they want to manipulate your ability to be aware of your rights, your freedom, where you're at. There are some people who may not even know what time of the day it is. This is one of the reasons why I talked about, like, when I was talking to some of these celebrities, it was like about a year ago, around 2023. Okay, so it was like about a year and a half or 2 years ago. Okay, right? I had said I had mentioned that something seems very off with these people, and yes, some of these celebrities are the epitome of a victim of human trafficking. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is by the divine powers. It is loud and clear that Christianity is the mark of the beast. Okay, therefore a lot of people are opening up their eyes and recognizing it as evil. And let me make sure I'm very clear about this. Okay, when I say that, that's not to say if a church was not participating in it, or if a church decides to turn away from this sort of bad doing, then there might be hope for these people. But what I'm saying is, obviously, what the Christian church was involved in, at least at that time, okay, was evil. Okay, it's very evil. Okay, yes, people do recognize me as the reincarnation of King Solomon. What else do I want to say? Okay, another message I'm getting is karma was served. Many of the female bullies died. They were begging, they were crying, and they died in fear and humiliation. Okay, like I said, even if we're not making this a religious issue, okay, I think even the most basic psychology, okay, it's strange to me that people should know better than to sit here and harass somebody for something like this. I'm shocked, okay? But I will say that there's a lot of ignorance. Lots of ignorance, okay? I got a message, something about the meeting at from the EDD, something about me smoking weed or whatever. Yes, weed is legal. Weed is legal. Okay, weed is legal. It is illegal. Okay, it's completely legal to smoke weed. Okay, and like I said, some people smoke it for medicinal purposes. I would say at this point in my life, I do it because it helps me rest and relax. When I was younger, I would say it was 100% recreational. Whatever the case is, I would say a lot of people from the EDD, no offense to them, I do know that they were part of the targeting issue from the previous year. And something I have this message, something about the people that I reached out to, a few weeks ago about them rejecting me because I smoke weed. And first of all, let me tell you, I resent the fact that people know that I smoke weed. Why? Because it's not something that I shared with people. I only started talking about it because it became out in the open. Okay, because I'm not somebody who glorifies smoking weed, and I'm not going to say that I'm against smoking weed. It just is. Okay, just like people who go out for a glass of wine, they're not, promoting it. They're just enjoying it for the evening, and it just is. You know what I mean? And I feel as though it's the very, if people are keep bringing up all these little issues, it's more than that. You know what it is? It is because they have been used to making me a target of their abuse. Okay, and when they find out that they have no reason to do this, then their mind starts scrambling because they are used to what they have experienced. They are used to wanting to blame somebody. Okay, and they have also had to deal with the brainwashing of understanding that never felt like they wanted to put the blame on the church. And the reason why is because the church has always made it seem as though they were the ultimate authority. Well, let me tell you, there are all kinds of religious scams and abuses that go on in society, and this is just one of them. Just one of them. Okay? Just one of them. Okay? There is no excuse, whether it be for religious or just regular secular law, or whether you're bringing religion into the issue or not. You do not bully somebody for their looks. Okay? Obviously, if someone looks nice, that means that they are, it's like they're supposed to look nice. You're supposed to take pride in your appearance. Okay, and that it really is as simple as that. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is that I have the true faith. I'm not saying my faith is true. It's true for me. Okay, do I believe that I have in favor with God? Yes, obviously. Okay, but yes, people do question Christianity and they do see it as fake and they think of it as wicked, and so they've never had the ability to even sit there and sort it out. Because I'm sure their church never really promoted them to have an open mind. And see, this is what I'm talking about, the dangers of mind control. Okay, anyway. The other message I'm getting is that people look at me as kind of nerdy. Okay, and I want to kind of go back into this nerdy thing, all right? And how cruel it is. It's like the situation of being a burden baby and then having the church target you is a circular form of cruelty in and of itself. Okay. Now I will say that no, I may be childlike, but I am not childish, meaning where I'm immature and not able to handle reality. Okay. Now when you are a victim of this targeting, okay, number one, the first thing they do is isolate you. Also, they do this in a weird form when you're a child as well. You'll notice I've talked about and referenced my backstabbing family, and I've also referenced things like, these off and on type friends. They're ringing your phone off the hook, and then all of a sudden they just don't want to have anything to do with you. These sort of mind games have been repeated out on me year after year after year after year after year since I was a kid. So at some point, especially as my teenage years started developing, I started kind of like, you know what, okay, I do want friends, okay? But I started realizing, okay, these people are not really sincere. They're not the kind of people that I want to have a relationship with, okay? So I distance myself, okay? I distance myself. So they'll make jokes about, people such as burden babies or whatever, and talk about how they like things like stuffed animals. I will tell you, if you were somebody who was forced into isolation and you recognize the fact that your family is brainwashed, okay, and that you're dealing with religious persecution, which means that you do not have regular relationships outside of your home, right? They are also even willing to toxify your own family members against you. Then the reasonable thing that a person usually does is they either attract themselves to a stuffed actual animals. Some people have cats and dogs, okay? Or some people, like in my case, it seems like throughout my entire lives, I've been attracted to dolls and stuffed animals, okay? So people will sit there and talk about that. I will tell you, by them continually focusing on those sort of issues just goes to show you the amount of cruelty that these people are, okay? So when you find solutions to their cruelty, like for example, I understand, I feel more closer to my stuffed animals than I do people. And I'm not even ashamed to say it. Okay, but that speaks volumes about the kind of people I've known my entire life. Okay, so that does not mean that I am not able to think for myself. It does not mean that I am not a functioning member of society. In this world, the only thing I need to do is pay taxes and die. That's it. Okay, and so since I meet those requirements, I don't think anybody has any right to say anything about me. Okay, I am a fully functional adult, as well as I do see benefits in stepping outside of the realms of the adult world. Now, some people say, okay, you're talking about the new earth, the new workplace. Are you saying things are going to be babyish? No. Don't sit here and try to act like I'm going to sit here and try to make things babyish at work or try to bring it. That has nothing to do with it. Okay. Do I think it's okay if a person wants to take their personal notes on a notepad that has, like, maybe Hello Kitty characters on it? That's their personal item. It's not affecting the company logos or anything like that. I don't see anything wrong with it. Okay. But when I understand, there's certain things that if you were to, like, bring it around people, that might make people uncomfortable. This is one of the reasons why I like being at home more than anything. Okay. So it's this like I was talking about the experiment of when they try to, create a negative image about a person, suddenly other people start making up stuff that doesn't happen. Like, for example, the catty girl women who were treating her, trying to attack me, talking about me being a slut and all this other stuff. You know why? Because if they had any amount of beauty, the first thing that they would want to do is get laid, because nobody wants them right now. So they automatically think that if you have some sort of looks, and you must be using it to get laid. Okay, and I will tell you, I do not believe that sex is the main form of showing love. I don't believe that. Okay, it is a form of love, but it's not the main form of showing love. Okay, so it's like, but my point is that it's like what you deal with is projection. You deal with projection all the time. I deal with projection in these sort of experiments where there's a target. It is mostly projection. Okay, like I said, they'll make up a rumor about somebody and they'll send them into an environment, and then people automatically have been told and instructed to have an issue with this person. So guess what happens? It snowballs. Suddenly, it's not just you're guilty of tax evasion. Suddenly, you slept with everybody's husband in the town. Suddenly, you've done all this and this and that. You've done blah, 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 and it's not even true. Not even true. Nobody can sit here. You can sit here and want to put this slut title on me, and I will tell you, if I was a slut and slept around with every person that I saw, I wouldn't be ashamed of it. You know why? Because obviously I have a sex drive and I'm going out and I'm pleasing it. Okay, but that's not the case. That's not the case. Okay, but what it is a lot of jealous people who are unsatisfied with their lives, thinking that I am using beauty to get things that they wish that they had. Okay, I really understand how people operate. Okay, so I'm not happy having to deal with people. But anyway, so yeah, I wanted to clarify that, the amount of cruelty that Christians like to sit here and inflict on people, to make fun of how you had to adapt to their cruelty, right? And so they want to sit here and point that out as well. You know what I mean? It's like, at this point, like, this is like I said, at this point, I just get tired of hearing the things that they talk about. And then I also have to understand that there might be certain, like I talked about the Alpha Draconians, okay? And I understand that there's peace around about us, right? But when you come up with these little nitpicky issues where, like, well, I don't want to deal with her because she does this and she does this, I will tell you, there might be some alien races that are just committed to misunderstanding you because they are demonic. And I'm not saying the Alpha Draconians are doing it. I'm just saying is when you continually deal with the nitpicking weirdos. Okay, when if the churches are already, if I believe that the churches have made their statements, and I do understand what's going on where people are getting rid of dual affiliations, okay, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I never asked to be a target. I never asked to be a part of the program. I don't, like I said, I was a part of the Joseph Mengele experiment, right? Which was all a part of this white issue, right? And then they turn around and then they want to pursue. It's a very sick, weird program. It's very strange. Okay. But anyway, yeah, I just because a person enjoys things relating to their childhood does not mean that they are, sometimes it's a coping mechanism, and it's actually the best form for them. Like when I think back in my life, I can honestly say that when the most inspiring times, the most happiest times, the most joyous times, the most comforting times were in childhood. Okay. And no, I wasn't my family that comforted me. It was usually just the ideas of optimism and whatever that gave me the idea of feeling content or safety. Okay. So we tend to revert back to these sort of things when we need to have that. And I will tell you, there was nothing in my environment to provide that for me. So I'm going to utilize what I know. And what I know is childhood. Okay. Yes, some people look at me as forever young, meaning like if I feel as though I understand that I am never going to get the emotional fulfillment on the outside world. That is not, a being defeatist, it's reality. And I'm not the only one. Just because I'm a target of this sort of bullshit does not mean I'm the only one who lives a loveless existence. I can look around and I can tell that most people do. I'm just somebody who is aware of it. Okay. So therefore, I understand that. So guess who's going to give me love? I'm going to give me every bit of love. Okay. And I'm going to do it. And I'm going to be my first priority, as I should be. And as you should be if you have any sense. But, like I said, it's your own life. Okay, the message I'm also getting is I cracked Bible codes and all the cult religions know that I'm right. Okay, meaning like I understand that the use of cologne, to where this comes from, how it got incorporated. Now, I do understand, like when it comes to the formulation of the Nazis, and I understand Nazis and Mormons are two separate groups, but there has been formulation, and the formulation of alliances developed through their common link. And their common link, of course, was world domination and the idea of preserving white nationalism or whatever. Okay, so I understand where this all comes from. Okay, but the Bible, yeah, I am not saying I'm somebody who disregards the Bible. I'm just saying is there certain people who tend to focus on things that are irrelevant in the Bible. Okay, like when we talk about, a few days ago I did a video and I talked about the reactions of people within my social circle. Okay, and there might have been people who truly did support me, even though they weren't willing to speak up. I would put them in the category of people like Peter. Okay, and then we have people who are just outright evil. They know they're playing games, just like Judas Iscariot, right? We have these sort of individuals, these sort of personality traits, these sort of, wickedness, okay, that is going to be in history. It was in history back then. It continues to exist today. Okay, but what the issues that need to be addressed are, how are we dealing with the progression of our existence? Okay, no. Okay, the issue of some people thinking that women should not have any rights, I understand that people were at the most primitive level back in the day, okay? And a lot of it is because we didn't understand. Just like we talked about, we went from polygamy, we went to having this, and then now that we're here now, it's like I'm saying is, I would say there's a little bit of something for everybody. Some people are going to be single and some people are going to get married, okay? And I understand some people are in unhappy marriages, and a lot of this has to do with interference like, religious pressure, or people involving themselves into something as intimate as a relationship that should be between two people. And so now you get this puppetry type marriage and people are unhappy with it. I'm not saying eliminate marriage. I'm saying focus on compatibility. Okay. Compatibility. Okay. And then also when it comes to raising children, I understand. I'm not saying don't raise children. I'm saying is do so responsibly. You know what I mean? Give people a reason to exist. Give them purpose. You know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. It's like doing things in a better way. Correct it. Right? This is what I'm talking about. As the new King Solomon, okay? Or the Queen Solomon, or however you want to look at me, okay? Maria Gordon, okay? That's what I'm saying, okay? And never have I ever tried to stand up against anything. Like, I've never, just because I choose not to get married does not say, never meant that I was trying to tell other people not to. But I have acknowledged the fact that there's a lot of misery in marriages. And the reason why is because it's not a two-party union. It tends to be someone else orchestrating things behind the scenes. And this has become a problem. This is where incompatibility and sometimes entrapment, can fester to where people are not being able to feel safe within their relationship because a man has the ability to prevent a woman from working. That's a problem. Okay. So don't twist my words. I'm just somebody who feels as though things need to be better. Also, I do know that a lot of people had talked about me feeling like I'm extravagant. I mean, whatever. Okay, when it comes to, yeah, I do not eat junk food, okay? But see, I also do not need or use health insurance either, okay? So I don't go to the doctor, so I have to make sure that what I put in my body is decent, okay? Because like I said, if you're a targeted individual, you know to stay out of those medical facilities, okay? So you need to take care of your health as much as possible, okay? And make sure that there's times where I can't sit here and buy out all kinds of vegetables like I used to, right? But I will tell you, I try to at least eat spinach once a week. If I can, get things like squash or whatever, because these things are helpful. Okay, I do make sure that I eat beans and stuff to regulate my mood. I try I would say my meal dinners are things that are based on my mental abilities. I need to eat for my mental abilities, my ability to think um, better. Meaning, like, I don't want to always constantly be in a state of depression. No, beans will not wipe away all your depression, but it does uplift the mood. So I try to stick with foods that uplift the mood. When it comes to me being extravagant, I laugh at that too, because, like I said, I'm a 99-cent type person. But people tend to think that I have everything. I will tell you that what I have in my home is an accumulation of things that I was able, luckily, knock on wood or particle board, that I was able to accumulate throughout the years. That's not doesn't mean that I sat here and buy all this in one fell swoop. And like I would tell you, most of my stuff is worthless. You'll notice that most of my stuff is what do you call it, particle board or plastic type furniture. The reason why is because it makes it easy to move. Okay, it makes it very easy to move, because I've had to deal with Christians, making my life miserable, moving from one place to another. Okay, so most people who are at my age have more. They usually have a family home. They usually have at least one or two vehicles. I don't have anything. Okay, so and like I said, the little knickknacks that I have are usually the knickknacks that I was able to move, with me. Okay, so a lot of the things I have are handmade, or go to the thrift store. I go to the 99-cent store. Okay, I think what these people were doing was just absolutely sick and twisted. And it's because of people looking at you as a burden baby. Oh, she can't have these things, or she shouldn't have these things. That's wrong. Okay, what it is that the church is at fault for this. Okay, and yes, it is a scandal. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is about me not wanting to be married. No, I cannot be married. I will never get married, okay? And the reason why is because I cannot trust anyone. Okay? What the church did was it exposed me to all kinds of weirdos and everything else. And I know people are sitting here trying to think about, oh, what about me, you and Elon and all this other stuff? You know what? I do have no idea about anything in the future. All I know is that I'm trying to get to know Elon. I do want Elon to know if he's somebody who's isolated. I try to let him know that there's somebody out here who does care about him. You know what I mean? And I know some people say, "Oh, you're trying to be needy." No, I'm not. Okay, there. I don't really send him as many texts as I really should, or whatever, as far as the conversation is going. But I also understand what it's like for somebody to be isolated. You know what I mean? And I also understand what it's like if and I don't know if he is or not. I try not to be very intrusive, but I also want him to understand that I know what it's like, and I do try to let him know that somebody cares about him. Okay, because I'm pretty sure whoever is always around him is not giving him any of that. Okay, so it's important that he knows that someone cares about him. And what else? So yeah, that's it. And that's it. I feel as though what the church did was wrong, and the church needs to unwind it. Apparently, if I don't know, I haven't really interacted with anyone, but the church needs to continually work and fix what they've caused. Okay, you need to get your little, what do you call it, your attendees, I guess, to stop doing what they're doing. Okay. I also want to talk about, it is the church's fault why I do not have a vehicle. Why? Because they were sitting here creating problems for me. Oh, she can't work because she likes to wear nice clothes, and like I'm some sort of devil's person. Okay, and this is bullshit. Like I said, you look at some of the celebrities that are literally working for these people, and they're dressed and they're showing their boobs and everything else. Okay, so we know that that's a lie. Yeah, I do enjoy a nice outfit. Okay, but aside from that, what I was saying is, okay, the reason why I don't have a car is because of their Christian evilness. Okay, they were trying to one up me and create problems for me, right? So I usually take the bus, right? And I also walk. Like if I have to go up to Walmart, I don't mind walking. Okay, especially if it's during the evening time or getting close to dark. It's nice. It's really actually a nice time. It's a really cool stroll. I get the intuitive message. There might be times where my father's apparition might be seen as I'm walking down the street. I don't think about that. Usually, what I'm just thinking about is like either having an opportunity to rest at the park for a little bit because I do enjoy doing that, and then I will head the rest of the way home. And then what I have been doing to try to make the evening a little bit more special is I might go to just kind of sit down on a little curb and just kind of like on a little curb and just kind of like maybe have like a drink or something and then like head home. Right, at least it got me a little bit of time out of the house. Okay, so I make it a point to enjoy my time outside and see whatever fate throws you. Okay, in this case, I was dealing with a hate crime, and that's exactly what I'm going to call it. I'm not going to call it anything else. I'm going to call it a hate crime. And when I deal with a hate crime, I'm not going to sit here and just fall over and cry and be like, whatever. Okay, that's life. Okay, I take pride in my little shopping cart, and I do see the point in accessorizing it, right? Like I personally think that there should be people making more different versions of cards, which I have noticed that there are. Okay, no one has made the plexiglass one yet, but I have seen people making different designs of these cards. Okay, but I did realize that I went to the this place called Dollar Mart. It's up the street on Niles. Now, I'm finally learning the name of this little store. I go to the store every once in a while. I would say in the last 5 or 6 years, I've been doing that. Okay, this is when I used to drive. I used to drive up to this store, and I'd also visit F&M Fabrics, right? But this little store, I like it. Why? Because it has a lot of the 99-cent type store. It's a little bit more expensive than the 99-cent store, but it's got like a lot of cool variety items that I enjoy. I love going to those kind of stores. Okay, there used to be a place on Avenue H called Homemark, I think it was called. And I used to love going to those stores, right? But unfortunately, that closed. Okay, this Dollar Mart place has a lot of cute stuff in it. Now, because I have to walk, I don't like walking outside during the sunlight, like when it's really hot. But there's been times where I had to go somewhere, or I feel like I need to get out of the house. Okay, so there's times where I have to walk up to the bus stop. So I decided to get an umbrella, right? I needed an umbrella for the summertime. Okay, this one here has a hook on it, so if I don't have to, if I have to go to the bus stop and there's no shade, most of the bus stops have shade, but if it doesn't, then I have my umbrella. Also, I did get a shopping bag at the Dollar Mart. Now this one right here, I just thought it was so cute, right? But it also helps me shop if I don't need to bring my cart, because sometimes I don't need to bring my cart, right? I don't need to bring my cart. And I do not like to have those plastic bags like gouging into my arm as I'm trying to carry it. So it's just nice to have a little shopping bag. But I did buy this shopping bag because it does remind me of something that I got many years ago. Okay, it reminds me of something I've seen many years ago, but it was like $4. Okay, but yeah, I mean they sit there and try to act like I have everything, and I don't. I don't. But I do say that when people steal from me, okay, or they affect my life, I'm always going to find some way to override it. You know what I mean? I enjoy walking down the street with my cart. I like my cart. I'm very proud of my cart, and I keep thinking, man, they should make them in different styles, like I said. And I have seen that they have made some different kind of styles of them, and I have seen more people using these kind of carts. Okay, so I'm actually proud of that. But anyway, I do get the intuitive message that self-love is accepted as well-being, and yes, it is. You know what I mean? I'm really shocked that people don't know these things. Okay, but like I said, I know when I first mentioned that I was going to move to Bakersfield, people would tell me, that the community was kind of ignorant, and it kind of is. But I know that the targeting, like I said, did not originate here in Bakersfield. This has been going on for a very long time, but it's all been through churches. So I don't know what to say. Like I said, I'm not white, and I'm not Mormon, so I'm not going to uphold that, and nor do I have any reason to. But I do hope that whatever's going on within these Christian denominations, that they get it straightened out, and hopefully, like I said, I'm not in. I know the most churches do recognize that I'm the Savior. I know that. But like I said, I think in order for people to be content with themselves, and like I said, there's some women, they don't care about makeup and stuff like that. But when it comes to their marriage with their partners, I think that's something that should be between them and their partner. Like, if a woman doesn't feel happy with how she looks, she should talk to her husband about it, and her husband and them should come to some sort of agreement. You know what I mean? That's between them, and they should have that discussion. And I understand, like I said, I sympathize with their goal of trying to increase their race or whatever. I guess in a way I do, but at the same time, it's like you're kind of bringing people back into a system of enslavement that's not of any benefit. So it needs to be, like I said, it needs to be done in a more humane way, and that's all I'm saying. Okay, it's like, and I've often thought about, like, can people be raised in a humane way, in like an orphanage? And the reason why I'm saying an orphanage instead of putting them with a family is because you're painting a false sense of security. Okay, and when it comes to families who are only in it for the money, they're going to end up abusing the kid. Okay, they're going to end up abusing the kid. Like my mom said, by the time I was 18, I was an adult, and that's it. We were not going to have any connections together. She's no longer able to say anything about what I do. But yet we had my sister Lisa coming around acting like, she was trying to tell me how to live my life and doing all this other kind of crazy stuff. And the reason why she feels this way is because I'm the other. Like, I'm an adopted kid. I'm not one of them, and she doesn't have any regard for me, and or she thinks that because I might be an alien or something, that I'm not able to think correctly. I do think correctly, and yes, I'm somebody who's very much aware of society. It's like I'm not trying to blend in with society. I see how society is really messed up. You know what I mean? I just I choose to kind of not go into all of that. And I've tried to do it as quietly as possible. The only thing is that I didn't realize that I was a targeted individual. I didn't realize that I was King Solomon and all this other weird stuff. But yeah, now that I'm a bag lady, I feel as though bag lady, I need to work on bag lady fashions. Bag lady fashions. And you think I'm kidding? I'm not. I'm not kidding. I am not. I am not kidding. Okay. I personally think that maybe I might end up spray painting my cart, or I might be adding, this fall, I might be going to make some new bags for my shopping experience to enhance my shopping experience. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and feel sorry for myself. Okay. I don't feel like I should be sorry for myself. I stood up to the establishment. I sit up to the establishment. Okay. And deep down inside, however all this ends, they know I won. Okay, because right now I'm getting the intuitive message that the state of California supports my project for human trafficking. This is one of the reasons why we have all these people, not just in California. It seems like it's going on across the country, making sure that people are not dual affiliations. I get the feeling that a lot of people are losing their jobs left and right. Okay, it should be a no-brainer, okay, that you don't sit here and try to bully somebody for their level or their state of contentment. Meaning, like, if a person feels comfortable with how they dress, okay, you're not to sit here and create genocide over a person that is present knows that they are presenting a well dressed image, okay, or professional image or whatever. To sit here harassing you, it's only a no brainer that you're trying to belittle somebody out of something that they rightfully have. Okay, so the dual affiliations is being eliminated, and that's good. Okay, because really, when it comes to people who are professional, who have a professional look, that's how they're supposed to look. Now, right now, I'm wearing a tank top. Okay, I would never wear this to work, even on a casual Friday. If I was to wear, so there's certain things I will not wear to work. I will not wear spaghetti strap things to work. Okay, if I was wearing one, I would probably wear a shirt or a coverlet or a cardigan over it. Okay, I understand what's considered to be like risque. Okay, it's a hot summer day, so I'm wearing this tank top. Okay, but like I said, I have clothes in a closet, a completely separate closet that is considered my professional attire. And like I said, I've got slacks that I haven't even worn in a very long time yet. A very long time. Okay, but yes, I dress professionally. Okay, so what it was is like when you see people bullying people for their looks and stuff like that, they're jealous because another person has something that they don't. And like I said, if I was to take that attitude, I would go over to, like, people who live on Oleander, and I would sit there and thrash their lawns and break their windows because they have something that I don't. you know it's like every time somebody reaches a milestone, like some people, they look at these sort of things, the acquisitions of certain things, as a form of a milestone that they've reached in life. Okay, for some people it might be buying a new home on Oleander, which I've always thought was cool, right? Or it might be a dude who might be a bodybuilder. In his case, we're talking about body, beauty. Okay, let's make it a more of a man type thing. What if a man wanted to have a buff physique, and he was somebody who actually spent money on a gym membership, which Rex Laverne did, by the way? Okay, which this is a hypocritical thing, right? Okay, but so what if he wanted to build himself up to do this for his own personal well-being? That is not a reason to blacklist him. And anybody who would blacklist him, they're obviously doing it because they're jealous. Okay, you're basically enacting genocide out on a person who you feel has more than you. Like I said, I have no right to sit here and bully people on Oleander Street. I have no right to bully people. There's some nicer houses over there off Oildale, right? Like when you go a little bit further up from where you do the shopping on where their Dollar Tree is. There, that's a nice neighborhood. Do I sit here and go create problems for them? No, I don't. Okay, and the reason why is because I understand it's their right. They either earned that place or whatever, and that's their right to have it. Same thing with the guy who goes to the bodybuilding place and builds his body up and he looks all great or whatever. There might be men who like, who does he think he is? I'm going to blacklist him. Guess what? You're guilty of genocide. Period. Okay, he has the right to sit here and take care of his body or be the person that he wants to be. Okay, it is childish. Not only is it childish, it's deadly behavior. Okay, and this is what's been going on, and people are normalizing it, and that's what's so disturbing to me. They normalize this behavior as if their mother never told them any better. It's like, whoa, okay, this is one of the reasons why I'm talking about laying the foundation and the moral reset, because we truly do need to educate society. We really do. But all in all, this whole purchase was about, I would say, $15, right? But it's necessary. You know why? Because I have to go travel. I don't have a car, so I have to travel outside. And yes, I do have an umbrella, but this particular umbrella has a cat in a rain seat on it, okay? Which obviously would look odd if it's a bright sunny day. So I wanted one for the summertime, and I got an umbrella for the summer so I can protect myself from the heat, and I had a good time doing it, and it got me out of the house. Now, hang on a second. I think that's about it, all I wanted to say. I know today I'm working on my thing, and that would be the end of it. That's the last part I have to do for my website, is link the video, upload the video, link the video, and then of course I want to get myself established on social media. And like I said, I hope that people will connect with me on social media. I want people to understand I am not a threat to Christianity. I am basically saying that Christianity was in violation of human rights and the devastating assistance that they were participating in using to cover this whole thing, like baby meals and all this other stuff. I mean, it's not good. Okay, so anyway, hopefully the Christian church has learned its lesson, pick up from where they left off, and be good little, good little people. I'm getting this message about a protection, a warning of protection. Okay, a lot of people are saying, okay, the message I'm getting is, yes, people do think it's a form of brainwashing, that you have to tell people about grooming in 2025. Okay, so people are slowly learning that, yes, they have been programmed for a very long time. I also get the message that once I upload this video, I will be seen worldwide. A lot of people are paying attention to my story. And then hopefully, oh yeah, okay. I do want to use my particular website to reach out to people and do more promotions. I realized doing it via email was very difficult and cumbersome, so this is one of the reasons why I switched. Okay, I know that a lot of people were rejecting me because of no marriage. The marriage, my issue of no marriage is not because it's me trying to flip the bird to the patriarchy. It is not me trying to be defiant or anything. I am a victim of human trafficking who was a victim of hate through the church. That means that the church has basically painted me out to be somebody who is marked for abuse. okay, for no good reason. So that means, and you can obviously tell that I am not in a position to ever trust anyone ever again, okay, and because of the church, okay? The church has put my life in danger, okay? So I cannot trust people, okay? What else do I want to say? Um, that's it. I think I'm going to wrap it up, and then I will hopefully get on to my video, because there's really not a whole lot stopping me. It's just like I said, I'm dealing with not wanting to deal with other people. Okay, and I want to talk a little bit about my Human Targets video. I do hope that I stimulate interest in my video. Okay, I do understand that there are some places that are making it a compliant type thing to be trained on human trafficking. If so, just like I believe the Christian agenda is supposed to train people on sexual harassment. I do not believe that a lot of the educational tools may be as thorough. Now, I understand if there is a mandatory one, especially if it's like state mandated or something, that this is something that you have to adhere to, okay? And I would say that if you were to see my video, no, it would not probably satisfy any state requirement, okay? But what it is it's a form of donation to help get me back home, okay? And I do believe it's probably going to cover a little bit more information than what you got to see through the compliance video, okay? Because like I said, for a very long time, we've had people who have been trying to either cover up, because, so let's just say, for example, the majority of people who are behind these sort of things are Christian, right? They're not going to sit here and dig down to the information that Christians have been leading people into baby mills. They're not going to tell you that. Okay, so this right here is a little different. Okay, but what's important is that you understand the how to identify human targeting, and hopefully help somebody who's a victim of human targeting. Okay, and then like I said, my video is going to be for a donation purpose only. Okay, so it can also be enjoyed by either the business owner, or hopefully the business owner will share this with their team as well. Okay, if we're truly trying to start a new world, like eliminate human trafficking, which I do believe the president has been doing a great job in instructing people to get things straightened out. Okay, if we're truly trying to build a new earth, okay, we need to be fully informed, and we can't sweep certain issues under the rug, okay, because that would defeat the purpose. Okay, so I'm very proud of my video. When it comes to comparing the two, I would say that the state, if it's the state who has created this video, chances with mandatory videos, okay, chances are the graphics are apropos. They probably look outstanding. Unfortunately, I am not that skilled. This is the one thing that I feel as though I am not very skilled at. Okay, other than that, I would say I could use a little bit more skills when it comes to things relating to marketing, and being able, when I say marketing, I'm saying is how to make things visually appealing. Okay, but it is the content that I feel very, very confident about. Hopefully in the future I will be able to collaborate with other people who are just as passionate about making things better, like I am. Okay, and some people say, aren't you going to talk to Elon about some of those things in the future? Right now I'm trying to get myself on my feet on the ground, and then I will talk about certain things with him. But right now I have to do things on my own. Okay, like I said, I don't know much about Elon Musk, all other than he's cute and he's a victim of this similar program. Okay, and like I said, he's been around the industry for a very long time. He's been around probably a lot of crooked people. And like I said, unfortunately, when you've been around these kind of crooked people, you become someone who's adjusted and adapted to that sort of behavior. Just like when I was living with the Gordon family, okay, I had no choice but to be a part of some of their crappy stuff. Like, for example, I would eat the kind of crap food that they would eat, okay, and I know that a lot of times I would solve problems based on the examples of what my family did. Okay, why? Because that was what I was used to. So, and I adore Elon, and I do let him know that somebody out here cares about him, that I do think he's a special person, and I do care about him, and I think it's important to do that, right? Because I understand how cruel the world is, okay? And people might like Elon, but a lot of times people like Elon for the wrong reasons. They might like him because he's on stage or whatever. I want him to know that he's liked for himself. And that's important, okay? So, anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I will be back with another video sometime later. I hope that you guys will support me, and I am doing what I can to help people, such as targeted individuals, make another start. Look at me as somebody who's trying to show or pave the way for other people, and hopefully inspire other people who have dealt with, like, the whole blacklisting, the shadow banning, and stand up for yourself and do, continue trying to, stand up for yourself and being able to provide for yourself. Okay, I'm going to wrap up this video. I've been talking long enough. Take care. Bye.